The Barcelona train has officially left the station again for the second time this season. It's 5 goals in back-to-back games. Real Madrid, Real Betis, any team that has gotten that royal touch in the past is being put to the sword by Barcelona at the moment. Because welcome to episode 647 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Dan Hilton, and I always tell you, please help me out, especially at this time of the year. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, give a like, give a comment, give a good rating on the podcast apps if you got me in your ears, as well as $3 on Patreon, which I'm going to start giving shout-outs to my top-tier level Patreon. So before I do that for the first time, joining at a higher level, I'll give you a shout-out here on the show, as well as getting something to the merch store. That is always a big, big help. And I know it's not my merch, but I hope y'all who are watching appreciate the retro today. Reminded me not of necessarily the Kounde years, but hey, I'm going to talk about Frankie de Jong. So the orange, maybe it makes a little sense. For those who are just listening, I am wearing the Champions League winning, the original 1992 Champions League winning jersey. So that's why I'm saying orange. I've got that on the mind, and I've got some Frankie de Jong on the mind, but we'll get to him. There's a lot to talk about, plenty of goals. So here, without further ado, the 5 headlines from Barcelona's 5-1 victory over Real Betis in the Copa del Rey. Headline 1 is Spanish Super Cup hangover. Nope, that was a worry, because just about, 72 hours ago, Barcelona were definitely having a party, including the president, Juan Laporta. Everybody was having fun, raising the trophy. They had decimated their eternal rival in Real Madrid, and there could have been a little drop here in energy. It can be tough to win a trophy and then immediately come back a few days later in a different competition and say, all right, we'll keep with that. But there was something about Hansi Flick and the way he changed up his team, the way that his team got a taste of a trophy, and now they want more. The Copa del Rey is a competition that Barcelona has won more than any other team in Spain. So the idea that there was a Spanish Super Cup hangover, I thought there might have been one, but I also thought, as I predicted on Twitter, that this was a really good setup for Hansi Flick to continue this run of good form for his team. Real Betis are an opponent who does not play a low block, which means you can get a little fancy. You can get forward. There will be space against Real Betis, and there was a plenty, of course. They scored 5 goals, but even from the opening whistle, that was the case. Real Betis, we're going to talk about this in a second, they had a plan to press. It didn't work, and Barcelona found the space immediately. And when we talk about leadership and the character of this team, Araujo is an energy guy, who we also will get to in his 5 headlines. But Gabi, now that he's back in the starting lineup, now that he's back in form, just like when Rafinha was wearing the captain's armband, and now Araujo is the captain's armband, and now Gabi's back in the starting lineup, you basically have 3 guys there who can channel and have learned to channel throughout their career all that aggression, all that energy, all that gusto that they have, and they put that into focus, they put that into leadership, and they put that into working hard from the opening whistle, and now this team seems to reflect both their manager and those kind of players. And all the other players, you got to fall in line and play at that level from the opening whistle, and that's what Barcelona did today, leading us to the first goal in the 3rd minute. This movement from Gabi against Johnny Cardoso and Altamira was just going to be too dangerous. That's what I predicted as well, and almost a false 9. We're going to get into the tactics in a second, but just from this opening goal, 4 of the front 6 here were instrumental in this goal, orchestrating it. Pedri beats a man. Olmo tucks into the space to receive. Rafinha stays onside on the shoulder of the center back, which opens up the space directly underneath him for Gabi, and then Gabi gets the ball back to his left and finishes. Gabi didn't celebrate too much against his childhood club. Well, he did kiss the Barcelona badge, but obviously against Real Betis, that's a club that a lot of Catalan people, as well as Francesc Tomas, my former co-host, have always said that Real Betis is kind of a secondary team for a lot of Catalans and a lot of Barcelona fans. And for Gabi, of course, he played for both. So he wants them to do well, but not today. Gabi, in between those lines, is all about getting the job done, and he did with that opening goal. 9th minute, Gabi crossed it in this time, getting over to the right, that being Gabi moving sideline to sideline, and Olmo controls it, and it's stopped by the goalkeeper, who, if not for the goalkeeper at times in this game, could have been a lot worse for Real Betis. But Barcelona, in the first 10 minutes, they set the tempo of this game, they set the pace of this game, they controlled the game, but they also set the intensity of this matchup that Real Betis were not ready for. Headline 2 is Araujo hanging around. It sure seems like it. I'm going to probably talk about this more on because this is transfer window season, I'll probably have to do another top 5 coming on Friday. So look out for that, where I'm really going to dig deep again on the whole Araujo saga, because I feel like we're getting to know a few things more. Did Deco actually convince Araujo to stay? Is that all now done and dusted? Is he going to renew? I don't think we totally know his the moment that I'm recording this. I know it came out hours and hours ago, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But what I do know is we can think about what Barcelona is going to look like at least for the next 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know if he would be a deadline day signing for somebody else, that being Araujo. But with Inigo Martinez out, that's Araujo's spot next to Cubarsí for sure. So Real Betis preparing for that. I think we do have some things to talk about, though, with Ron Araujo at the bat. This was his first start of the season. And in the 14th minute, I think it all kind of was summed up by what Real Betis were trying to do from the opening whistle, knowing that Araujo was going to start as the right center back. They did what other teams did last season. When Araujo and Iñaki Peña, and it didn't look as great last year between those two, well, it was that they can turn the ball over because Iñaki Peña isn't Ter Stegen with the ball at his feet, and Ron Araujo isn't, well, obviously Cubarsí on the right, but he's also not Inigo Martinez with the ball at his feet. So if Real Betis were going to have success pressing, we saw that that being Athletic Club, tried to press Kounde on that right side. But not only having Cubarsí there, but if Lewandowski and whoever your number 9 is, in this case it was almost a false 9, if your number 9 is good enough with the ball at his feet and technical enough in his link-up play in that game, you're going to be able to get out of that press. And Barcelona, I thought in the first 15 minutes or so, the press for Real Betis was working in little moments. And it was that Araujo and Peña were kind of hoofing it forward, and they would turn it over, and they were putting a lot on their midfield to win the 50-50s. And fortunately for them, I think a lot of this was nullified because Gavi wins 50-50 balls. And De Jong was winning a ton of 50-50 balls today too. Pedri also winds up winning more 50-50s than you think he has in him to win. And as far as the other center backs, Cubarsí was winning them. Kounde was also winning them. So Barcelona around even Araujo. And Araujo also has the ability to win them back. And I think, again, this is all summed up in the 14th minute when Barcelona looked to give it away. Then less than a minute later, Real Betis still have possession. But then Araujo kind of shields off 3 different players using his physicality. So even though Real Betis got the ball back, Araujo is like, absolutely not. No one is anywhere near this box going to have any kind of confidence because he is the superior defender, right? He's the best one-to-one defender that Barcelona has. He's just the most physical presence that Barcelona has, the most dangerous player in the air and all those things. So we're going back into this world now where Inigo Martinez, he did so much at a high level. And so I couldn't really see what his exact weaknesses were that other teams could exploit playing that high line. I guess it was just his foot speed off the line, but Inigo Martinez was just such a solid player. That's what he was. An above average solid player, fitting this system perfectly, even though he wasn't the long-term option there with his age and all those things for next season. But in the case of Araujo, his pros are elite at the top ceiling. But then the things that he doesn't necessarily do at the highest level, I wonder how teams are going to manipulate that. But I also wonder just how much better Cubarsí is this season to support him, because Cubarsí, maybe I'll remember to say this again at the end. I think he made a tackle where I put it in my notes, but Cubarsí was tremendous in this game. Absolutely tremendous. His manipulation of these presses cannot be denied. And when he's on that left side and the opposition is defending the right side on the press, if the right side is able to switch that ball over to left, and now you have Cubarsí with time and space on the ball, which he didn't even get when the teams are pressing on the right and pressing Kounde, then Cubarsí is going to deliver absolute dimes like he did diagonally over the top of plenty in this game. Cubarsí was awesome. And if he's taken another step forward this year next to Araujo, I'm going to see how that version of that, plus Iñaki Peña being a year more experienced and confident, looks in this kind of 2.0 version, now also with a high line, which in theory, if he can get his timing right, will support Araujo's skill set too. I think we talked about all that enough because in the 11th minute, Jesus Rodriguez, he's just offside here, got down the right, and Juanmi missed the header. That was really close. It might take, as I said, some time for Araujo to adapt to the timing of the offside trap, and this is just one of those little warning signs here. But I will be talking about Araujo and his contract situation, as I said, on a top 5 video later in the week. Headline number 3 is Kounde living his best life. We've only got to one of the goals of the 6 that were scored in this game, so let's pick up the pace a little bit now that we're done talking about Araujo. 20th minute, Ribal goes down, and Betis down a man momentarily. Looked like Barcelona were going to take advantage here. Gerard Martin, another good cross on the ground to Olmo. Second time by that point that Martin had delivered a good ball into the box, but Olmo hits the post, and Rafinha puts the rebound into the keeper. Had a pretty awful one in the 23rd minute, did Martin on a cross. So as much as I gave him credit, then I immediately take it away. And I did think that if I was going to give a grade here for Gerard Martin in this game, I'd give him probably about a B+ defensively. He was really solid. There were no mistakes on that end. And then offensively, he had one or two little mishits on crosses, but he also delivered some pretty good balls that were cut back, especially in that first half, that I think opened up that Real Betis back line and any chance they had to settle in. If Gerard Martin is another player who's adding to those muchos midfielders, then you're going to have some trouble if you're Real Betis, and you're going to have to get out to him too. And if he's going to deliver good balls, then you're in a lot of trouble. 22nd minute, Pedri on the press, gets the rare block on a keeper, but the ball doesn't deflect into the goal for him. Then the 25th minute, Marc Bartra, I've always loved Marc Bartra, former Barcelona player, former Dortmund player, saves a goal. Pedri delivers a long ball to Lamine Yamal on a platter for Rafinha, and Marc Bartra comes sliding in. It was offside anyway, and that was a running theme in this game, but hey, Marc Bartra, good on you for making that tackle. Then the 2-0 comes here in the 27th minute. Kounde getting forward. Barcelona were already by that point. I talked enough about the Real Betis press, but Barca already wearing out that Betis press with 75% possession. And I do want to show that here on the tactics board, because before we do wind up talking about this goal, I kind of want to show you the shape that Barcelona were in. So De Jong was supporting mainly on the left here more than the right, and Pedri was here. I think Gabi was just going, and for those listening, let me be a bit more instructive here. De Jong was kind of serving as a holding midfielder, and Barcelona were building up often in a 4-3-3, but they really weren't. It was a 3 with 3 at the back in Kubarsi and Araujo and Kounde, and then it was De Jong kind of directly in front of them with then this mismatch. Martin was getting farther forward on the left in build-up at least, and then you had Pedri and Gabi and Olmo as well, and Lamine Yamal also kind of being even with all of them in this mismatch of 5 across right in the middle of that field there. And then Rafinha was farthest forward, but he wasn't even operating in the central channel. He was kind of operating off to the left there, off of the shoulder of Marc Bartra, to make sure that you kept putting Nathan being the one player to have to deal with whoever was running in, whether it was Olmo, whether it was Gabi, whether it was Pedri. And if I'm Nathan, I think I've got as much of a headache than I do as needing ice for any physical ailment after this game, because he had to figure out who to mark, and Nathan just could not figure that out because you had, again, Olmo, Pedri, Gabi. It could have been anybody, and Nathan also had to keep one eye on Lamine Yamal, because the minute that Altamira or Johnny Cardoso went to step to one of the other midfielders, and then the ball was sprayed quickly to the right for Lamine Yamal, now all of a sudden, Lamine can come inside, and you've got your midfielder bypass, so you as the other center back have got to step over and watch whoever the other runners are. It was just too much on Natan's plate today, and I'm going to talk about it before Perot. What a rough day for him at the office. And then when Barcelona were in the final third, though, like they got to on the first goal, if Rafinha is going to make that near post run and Olmo drops in, that left space in the middle of the field for Gabi to make that run into for that first goal, because Lamine Yamal and Kounde, you at least had to keep one or two on them and worried about them. Because getting back to the second goal that was scored here, this is just tremendous from both Kounde and Lamine Yamal. Really, it's one touch over the top from Lamine Yamal, and is that the better part of this goal? But then Kounde lines it up, gets his hip around the ball, and puts enough power on it to beat the keeper. Tremendous again, I said, from both of them. Barca at home, by the way, this was the stat from that moment. In the Copa del Rey with a 2-0 scoreline, at that point, 153 wins, now 154, 3 draws and 0 losses. So, yeah, anything can happen, but at that point, I had a bit of confidence in the team. 32nd minute, Gerard Martin should have had his first Barcelona goal here. Barca in transition. Lamine Yamal is so dangerous in transition when he has people running with him, and the opposition is trying to get into position in that defensive transition. The cutback misses everybody, and Gerard Martin skies it over as a late runner in. Martin, he could have had one there, but again, getting himself in really important offensive positions, which that's the part of his game you feel like he doesn't do as much as Balde does. So if he can do that, he can certainly help his stock out quite a bit. De Jong, as I said in that point of the game, was being much more conservative, and I really like the role that he was occupying today. He was operating as a holding midfielder behind Gabi and Pedri and Olmo, and Barca were still building up with a double pivot, though, because Rafinha even at one point dropped to be the player to receive along with De Jong as a double pivot. But De Jong, he's helping with the press resistance with the back line as Betis were trying to press and help with that first phase, and then kind of just letting the front five go to work in open space. And that really supported De Jong. He didn't try to do too much, and he played within himself. And for that reason, I think this might have been the best game that De Jong played. If you think it was the best game that De Jong played, you can let me know in the comments on YouTube, or you can let me know anywhere on social media if you're listening to this in any of the podcast apps. 42nd minute, Bartra gets the yellow right after knocking heads with Araujo, which is, that's just bad luck for him. Then 45 plus 1, Vitor Roque, stopped by Peña. Iñaki Peña's big moment here. It's a great save by Iñaki Peña, going the opposite way, getting his hand up in time. Jesus Rodriguez in a crowd, and maybe he's got something in his boots there, Jesus Rodriguez. Vitor Roque makes the run to the near post against Kounde, and then Peña said just getting the save. And Vitor Roque, I did want him to get a goal in this game. I had predicted it, and I'll say my bias was that I cared more about Vitor Roque, who's on loan to Barcelona, doing well this season. This is his 7th goal of the year. We'll talk about with the PK later, but I wanted him to do better than I did want Barca to get the clean sheet, but he stopped here. At that point, it would have been even 2-1, so it was still too close of a game for me to be comfortable with that. So fortunately, Peña came up as the hero. Then the 45 plus 5, Kounde could have made it 3, but his brace then was called offside. Pedri and Gabi, more good work from them to keep the ball in the half of the field that Betis were not wanting to be defending in. De Jong and Kubarsi tidying the build-up even prior to that. And then Gabi, crossfield just like Pedri had done on the second goal, to Lamine Yamal. And again, this goal is all about Lamine Yamal and Kounde and that partnership. Kounde with the run. Lamine Yamal finds him once more, and Kounde hits the underside of the crossbar at the back of the net. But he's offside by a toe. Is this the point of the rule here? Is this what VAR is for? I'm not sure, but I don't know. It feels like nonsense to me. Headline 4 is even VAR can't stop Barcelona. Yeah, okay. Even with the nonsense, even with VAR, Barcelona would not to be denied with all their goals today. 53rd minute, this was definitely offside, though. Betis not closing out Pedri. Lamine Yamal offside anyway. He also missed it anyway, so it didn't matter, but another offside for Barcelona. And then the 3-0. Was this the other 3-0? Or the second 3-0, I should say. 55th minute, Pedri and De Jong both taking turns, dropping and facilitating, as I said, as the deepest midfielder in the opponent's third. This one is De Jong. It's his turn. A nice ball over the top to Lamine Yamal with the finish. The goal wasn't offside, but Lamine Yamal was called offside in the initial buildup. Again, is this the point of this rule? I mean, and even then, it was just barely. So, I don't know. This is just more VAR stuff where I like the fact that we can't even argue it, right? Like, you're seeing the line. VAR is taking a look at it. They have all the different angles. They took their time to look at it. So by the letter of the law, it is offside. But we, again, bring the question of, is that the point of this ruling? Is that the point of this law? Somebody on Big Up on the watch along did bring up the fact that maybe Arsene Wenger's onto something with changing these rules. So if you want to have conversations about rule changes and send it forward and transfer all that, please join me on Big Up. We have a lot of fun. You can join the chat with a free account. You can request for free to be a guest and talk to me live on the show. So I always appreciate if you join me on Big Up. That would be a big help. 3-0. We also, again, break down these goals in live time on the watch along, including this one in the 58th minute. This was onside for sure. De Jong on the other side with a good tackle. Betis on the corner. It's cleared out to Lamine Yamal. Running 4-on-3 in transition. And with that much space for Lamine Yamal, Porto, if you're going to miss, he was already nutmegged earlier in the game too. It's just a nightmare of a day for Porto against Lamine Yamal. Now, this one here, he misses, and yeah, Lamine Yamal, he's got a lot of time to think, and he's got Rafinha to his left, Olmo and Pedri to his right. He opts to go Rafinha, and Rafinha scores another here. That's now 20-9 for Rafinha this season. He joins Lewandowski as two players now for Barcelona with 20 goals already this year, and Lewandowski and his 26, by the way, have already equaled all of last season's total. And Rafinha, he's already hit his career high, and he continues to push the envelope on his career high. When this offense is clicking, it is all about form, right, for this Hansi Flick Barcelona. If they're in good form, they can win any trophy they want at this point. But the question is going to be, are they going to have everybody healthy? Are they going to be in the right form when it's time to win the matches they need to win? Those really are the big two factors, because now for back-to-back games, again, we're seeing what this team is capable of. And then headline 5, the route is on. Because, yeah, this team cannot be stopped when they're in form, they're playing the way they want to play. Gabi, I was saying throughout that first half and into the second half, buddy, you don't have to get a yellow card. You're up by enough already at that point, 3-0. But, hey, he still wanted to get a yellow before he came out of the game. Because then once the 64th minute comes on, here comes Araujo out of the game and Rafinha. Good shifts for them. Off for Eric Garcia and Ferran Torres. Valuable wins for them. Then the 66th minute, hey, it's shark time again. The 4-0 off the corner kick for Barcelona. Pedri's shot is blocked. De Jong wins another header. All those little things that De Jong did well today. Olmo then pops it over to Ferran Torres, and he winds up wide open at the back post and gets it on the half volley, which is such an enjoyable hit. you can also leave in the debate. Is it more fun to hit a volley? I mean, it always looks better, probably the volley, but is it more fun to hit a half volley or volley? I feel like volleys have more luck involved, and I feel like with the half volley, it takes a little more skill, and I don't know, they were more enjoyable to me, but Ferran Torres, we'll have to ask him, because he's done both of them in his career. And as I said before, you can let me know, was this De Jong's best game in the season? This is another one of those little moments that De Jong was certainly in the positive today. I don't think he put a foot wrong. 71st minute, Pedri and Gavi get their deserved applause as they come off for Pau Victor and Fermin Lopez. And then the 5-0 in the 75th minute, another super close one that Vieira had to look at, but this one goes in the favor of Barcelona. Lamine Yamal on the goal, had to get it checked. The ball from Fermin Lopez, again, is really good. That's just 5 different goal scorers from Barcelona in the game. And while Perot did not have a good day at the office, this time it's Diego Llorente who lets him down, keeps Lamine Yamal onside. And yeah, if you're behind Lamine Yamal, you're just in a world of hurt. And Lamine Yamal finishes this one off to make it La Manita. 78th minute, Kounde. This is where I talked about that super tackle on Vitor Roque. That summed up his day. Did not put a foot wrong. Kounde, as excellent as everyone else was. It's 5-0, so it's hard to give him the man of the match, but I want to give him the biggest honorable mention I can, along with De Jong. Lamine Yamal immediately getting subbed out after his goal for Pablo Torre to close this game out. And then the 83rd minute, we're not done yet. Jesus Rodriguez gets fouled in the box. Kounde stepped on him. Easy penalty call here for the referee and VAR. Then the one goal scored by Real Betis is scored by Vitor Roque, his 7th of the season. I mentioned on the PK goal. Not the best PK either. It winds up going underneath Iñaki Peña. It was a poor penalty, but hey, Vitor Roque, maybe you can get some confidence here. He didn't celebrate because, yeah, it's his parent club, and also his team was down by 4 at that point, so no big celebration needed. But Vitor Roque, yeah, got 7 goals. My goal for him, I know he's not listening here, but if he could get to like 12 goals at his age, that would be really promising, and maybe he can come back and join that collection of forwards. I think he does still have higher potential at this point than what you say that Ansu Fati is giving you, but Ansu Fati is also, is he a winger? Is he a 10? Like, what is he going to be? And then obviously Vitor Roque probably has higher potential than Pau Victor. No respect to Pau Victor, but, Vitor Roque has a bit more of an eye for goal, and his movement is a bit tighter in the box than Pau Victor as well. Now Barcelona, just to put some stats into the books here, they have won 49 of their last 54 Copa del Rey ties leading up to the final. In the last 15 years, they have only been eliminated by Athletic Club on 3 occasions and Real Madrid on 2 occasions. And yes, they did lose that final to Valencia a few seasons ago as well. But that is pretty nuts that if you're not Athletic Club or Real Madrid, anything but the final, you are not knocking Barcelona out of the Copa del Rey. That is pretty sensational. This is their competition. Let's talk about man of the match real quick before I end this. I would have given it to Hansi Flick because when your team follows up a 5-2 drudging of Real Madrid and wins the trophy and then goes out and obliterates Real Betis by what was 5-0 at one point, but then finishes 5-1, you made everybody who you put your Midas touch on turn to gold in this game. It was also the Cats' first win, by the way, at home of the season, the new mascot for Barcelona. So congratulations to him or her. So maybe he gets the MVP. My gut, though, says it was De Jong or Kounde, but my head says it's definitely Lamine Yamal. Whether it was the assists, whether it was the goal himself in transition, it is absolutely Lamine Yamal. That is your man of the match because he is leading this Barcelona line in a day when Lewandowski did not play. So Barcelona putting 5 past Real Betis, and Lewandowski did not come off the bench. This is only the 7th time this season that Barcelona scored 5 goals in a single match. When this team is at their best, there are very few in world football better. So if you enjoy to be on this ride with me, please join me for the watch along on Big Up at 3 p.m. East Coast time on Saturday against Getafe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do all those things that I already told you to do at the start of this 5 headlines. And as always, until next time, Forza Barça.